The world is waking up, and you finding your way here today is no coincidence. The spirit world always has a way of guiding us where we most need to be at the absolute perfect time. I'm your host, Lindsay Morlock, and you're listening to the Guided Podcast, where we explore how the spirit world works on our behalf to guide us along our paths. This is where you'll learn how to live a life that is both conscious and connected, so you can supercharge your pathway to healing and open to life's magic and miracles. Come along this journey to see how guided you truly are. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a new season of the Guided Podcast. It's officially been a year since I last put out any content on this platform, and as much as I've been itching to come back and share, I've also learned that when you are living this guided life, there is no such thing as fitting yourself into some sort of box that involves algorithms. So living, from that heart-centered place means living a life on your terms. It doesn't mean pushing yourself when you're tired, a lesson that I've been learning about. It does not mean buying into or adopting the latest and greatest social media trends. It doesn't involve keeping up with the Joneses in any way, shape, or form. It really involves tuning into your heart, your guidance, and living and leading from that place. For every single human being, there are all times when we are asked to hibernate, when we're asked to go within, go into those little cocoons and get still and understand from that intuitive place what our higher self is asking of us. So as a result of that, I've been deeply focused on my own healing for the past year. And as a result, I've had to give myself permission to take a break from the podcast, to go inward, to be able to listen to the whispers of my heart, to replenish and rejuvenate so I can come back to this platform in a place of total alignment and excitement to continue to serve you all. So I feel like that's where I want to begin today. What has been happening in this little cocoon of mine over the past year or so. So here goes. So for those of you who might need to catch up, some of you might recall nearly 2 years ago, I quit my corporate job as a chief operating officer, and I moved 2,500 miles across the country to begin a new chapter and live a more authentic life. And now living an authentic life to me is really about living a life where my daily activities and my choices in each moment reflect my values on a soul level. It's about creating a life that reflects the virtues of my higher self, not my small self. It's about living from a place of that soul self as opposed to living a life that everyone else deems to be successful or deems to be correct. And let me caveat all of this with I am just as human as anybody else. So creating a more authentic life, it has definitely been a process. And it has been a process filled with many levels and layers of healing and trying to bring more and more congruence between my personality and my higher self. So as you might expect, as part of this journey, what came up for me was all of the stuff in my life that I could no longer hold on to in moving into this new phase and this new chapter. And so Spirit tells us that we cannot hold on to the old and move into the new simultaneously. They cannot coexist. So we have to be willing to shed all of the things that are no longer serving us in order to create what we most want in our lives. So naturally, what tends to come up first are all of the things in our lives that are holding us back, or all of the things that are preventing us from manifesting what we truly desire. So for me, I am building an entirely new life. And I'd be lying if I said it was a breeze, because it has been full of me digging in my heels, pushing against my reality, and definitely some I don't wanna moments. Because as much as I don't want to hold on to my past patterns, I also recognize that's what's familiar to me. That's what has felt safe, even if it's no longer what I want in my life. So I needed to really work on shedding the past. And while some people are very willing to go and make big quantum leaps, which, by the way, I highly suggest that path because it's way less painful than the route I chose, which was letting go kind of one baby step at a time. So that's been my journey. And it's been a journey within the journey. So I thought, given that, I would highlight some of the lessons that I've been moving through and learning that I hope to share with you this season on the podcast. So some of the headlines are, I had to let go of my beliefs around what creates feelings of safety and security within me so I could connect more with my actual source of safety. I had to let go of control of what I thought my life should look like and learn how to surrender to how spirit is moving me through my healing journey. I had to let go of my old definitions of success and create new ones. I had to learn how to be with varying levels of discomfort. I've had to learn how to trust my higher self and not align with my ego self at a deeper level. I've had to learn how to prioritize myself, how to prioritize my own healing. I've had to lose my balance in order to realize I needed to find a more sustainable way of moving through my life. I needed to find more balance through that imbalance. I've had to learn how much suffering I inflict upon myself simply by being in resistance to what is happening in my life every day. I've had to learn how to surrender and let go of control, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a lifelong process, but here we go. And I've also been exploring new passions and meeting new people and having to push my hermit self out of my comfort zone and really put myself out there in ways that are uncomfortable. And there's so much more. Those are just to name a few, but changing your entire life and making big moves, they create upheaval in your life. And it's been deeply uncomfortable at times, if I'm being honest. And it's also been really cool and really wonderful at times. And so overall, what it has shown me is that I need to trust the unfolding of my life, even if that unfolding doesn't look the way my mind would have scripted it. That said, my life continues to get better and better. I'm healing old patterns more and more each day, and I continue to be in awe of how spirit moves us through this spiritual journey. It can be truly awesome to look back and witness all of the miracles that have taken place, all the healing that has taken place. And I can finally say I'm really beginning to see a whole new life starting to bloom within me and around me. So this season on the podcast, I'm committing to showing up, being seen more fully. I'm going to be pushing myself out of my comfort zone even more on this platform with the intention of being more vulnerable with you all so that hopefully you can see yourself in my journey as well. I'm so blessed to have this amazing spiritual support team and a village of soul sisters who deeply care about one another's healing. And as I reflect on how important this is to me and in my life, I also hope this platform helps you to know that you're not alone on this journey. So, this season on the podcast, you're going to notice a few changes. First, I'm going to be putting a lot more solo episodes out there. One of my favorite things to do is teach what I most need to learn and to share stories with you related to how I'm grokking all of these life lessons. So, if there's things you'd like to hear more about along my own journey, I'd really love for you to reach out and to let me know so I can make sure that I'm being intentional about meeting you where you're at. And you're also going to notice that I'm bringing on an intuitive astrologer, my friend and colleague, Catherine Ann, who, by the way, was previous a guest on the show last season. But she's going to have a regular spotlight to talk with us about the energies of the new and full moons each month. As you might know, I often teach breath work in sync with the various moon cycles so that we're leveraging the energies and understanding that, and that information related to the different moons can be a very intentional way to utilize your breathwork practice and leverage the energies. In addition to that, I am also someone who loves astrology, but I don't get it. I really don't understand it as much as I try. Full disclosure. So I constantly need it translated to me. So Catherine is going to be coming on the show and breaking down these energies for us each month and helping us to really understand how to apply them in practical and tangible ways so that we can really capitalize on these powerful energies to help us with our healing. And then finally, I'm going to continue having guests on the show as inspiration strikes so you can continue to hear these powerful awakening stories and understand how different souls are moving through their respective human experiences and the subsequent wisdom that they're now here to share. So, with that, thank you as always for continuing to listen to this podcast. I know you have lots of options when it comes to the content you consume, and I am so grateful that you find value in showing up here every week. So, I hope you enjoy this next season of the show and look forward to hearing how the content is impacting you along the way. So, join me right here next week for another solo episode, and I'll look forward to chatting with you then. Thank you so much for listening to the Guided Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful if you would share it with a friend or even leave me a review so we can ensure that it makes its way into the ears of listeners who need to hear these messages most. Until next time, may you remember how guided you truly are.